Yeah, sorry. Right.
Just when you're ready, Dom. No rush, mate.
No worries. Just,
checking your Twitter.
Okay, just before we start, mention the cameras. Are we all set and ready to go? Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Football Federation Australia headquarters for today's very special announcement. On our table we have the FFA Chairman, Mr Chris Niku, we have the CEO, Mr David Gallop, and the Head of Leagues, Greg O'Rourke. To start off, I'll ask Chris to make some opening remarks.
Thanks, Adam. Afternoon all. Thank you all for joining us on what is a really important day for the FFA and the A-League in particular. As you know, the FFA has been involved in a very comprehensive process to identify teams for the expansion of the A-League. When we sort of last had a press conference, I did say that an important issue for the new board was the issue of expansion, and indicated that all things equal, we would like to make a call at the first available opportunity. I'm pleased to be able to confirm that we have made a decision on expansion, and there will be 2 new teams joining the A-League going forward. Those of you who have followed the A-League over the last 14 years will understand that in 2004 we started this journey. The then board put together a wonderful plan, a grand plan for the promotion of football in this country. There's been some lessons learnt along the way. We've factored all that in, but we think the opportunity and the market is right now to expand the A-League. And I can confirm today that the 2 successful bidders for A-League licences going forward are the Western Sydney Macarthur bid out of Sydney, and in Melbourne, the Western Melbourne bid are the 2 successful bidders. They each gives us a wonderful footprint into growth corridors in the Australian marketplace and position us for the long-term game of advancing football in this country. All the bids had redeeming features, but ultimately we settled on the 2 that I've just mentioned. We've worked with those successful bidders to make sure that they have the best chances of success. So the timing of the introduction will be as follows. For the next A-League season, the Western Melbourne bid will be the first cab off the rank, and following them, the following season will be the Western Sydney Macarthur bid. I do like to maybe point out at this point that that's not the full stop for the expansion process. Expansion is an ongoing dialogue for us. Obviously, a lot of stakeholders to consult. We would like to keep the expansion issue on the agenda, and coupled with that, and there was a lot of other initiatives that came out of yesterday's board meeting, which we'll share next week, but intertwined with that is the establishment of a second division working group to explore the basis for establishing a second division as soon as we practically can. So more about that next week, but today is the good news story about expansion for the A-League. Personally very pleased that the board's delivered, I think, some really good stories about our sport going forward. What that chapter looks like is really up to the football community, but we get a chance now to put an exciting chapter on the history of football in this country. I might pause there and pass over to you, David, to perhaps provide a little bit more detail on the issues.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, and good afternoon to everyone. It's really a great news day for Australian football and for the A-League. I'm delighted that the work that has been put in here with Deloitte over the course of nearly a year has borne fruit. I think it's a great step that the board fully accepted the recommendation yesterday afternoon. It's a strong, responsible decision. It's a decision that's been arrived at taking into account the views of our stakeholders, including our clubs, our players, our broadcast and commercial partners. This is going to set the A-League up for long-term sustainability in these new locations, but importantly as well, the decisions have taken us to a point where we can ensure that the new clubs are in high-quality facilities from day one. Obviously, with West Melbourne, there's an opportunity to do something quite unique and something that we've seen successful in football globally, which is to have a purpose-built football stadium. Of course, there'll be a period when we won't have the team in a new stadium, but importantly, they'll be in a facility that will present the game well, have a playing surface that's comfortable for our players. West Melbourne is a growth corridor, and the prospect of having our own stadium built out there is exciting indeed. For Macarthur, obviously a huge population corridor, an area that has nearly 50 local and NPL football clubs. An important part of the journey of the last year has been to make sure that we're engaging with those clubs, and I'm sure those who will be in charge of the club will look to make sure that their links with the grassroots of the Macarthur area are strong. So all in all, delighted that we've reached this point. The staggered approach is important. We want to make sure that we're giving these clubs the best possible opportunity to have success on day one.